We are happy to have you join us this month on BYP Speaker Circle. We started this in April. In April, we talked about how to reignite our passion for the year without pressure. That was our April focus. In May, we did talk about overcoming career regrets and avoiding pitfalls. And in June, we went towards the finance aspect of career and entrepreneurship. And our topic was on the money versus fulfillment dilemma, how to balance job satisfaction and financial needs. And last month, we went to our mental health and our physical health, and we had an amazing speaker share real life experience on working while unwell, real talk on health, energy, and expectations. And this month, we know this is August. I'm from Nigeria, and there's a popular saying when is the end of August, we call every month to September. So you have September, you have October, you have November, December. So there's a popular lingua we use. We call it the Mba month because they all end with Mba. So you have September, October, November, and December. So even just that regular cliche puts pressure on people like, oh, this is 4 months till the end of the year. We've exhausted or utilized 8 months. What more can I do? So that's why this month our topic for the BYP Speaker Circle is 4 months left. What more can happen? And that's what everyone is asking. I'm also asking that question. 4 months left. What more can happen? What more can happen in finance? What more can happen in my career? What more can happen in my personal space? What more can happen in my spiritual life? So in every area, this is not just about finances, career. In every area of your life, what more can happen? We started January with amazing goals. We dropped few or most of them in March, April. We've had to retweak them. So now the question is, at this point, what can we do? What can we achieve? What do we have to let go? Should we face reality and say, okay, this is it. This is 4 months left. I don't think anything else can happen. Or this is 4 months left. Something can happen. So that's why we have two amazing speakers, Diane Thompson and Catherine Taylor. This session is going to be as interactive as possible. A live in check-in on our goals, our mindset, and how to move forward. So that's why we brought in two experts from the HR field and an amazing executive career coach to just help us shed light on this topic. Now, before we go into this, I'll just do a quick intro on BYP Network to those who are new to what BYP does. So BYP was founded in 2016 by Kike Oniwinde Agoro to connect Black professionals and students globally, to also offer visibility, career opportunities, and business support. So now BYP till date has grown into a global movement. So we have global chapters. We have been supporting global organizations in terms of recruitment, in terms of webinars, events, mentorship, just to ensure that we help close that gap that we've seen in previous years due to the lack of Black representation beyond sports and entertainment. So now, what's our vision in one sentence? To change a Black narrative. And as I mentioned earlier, BYP has grown in leaps and bounds. We have global chapters. So if you're in Lagos, Nigeria, if you are in London, if you are in New York, if you are in Australia, we have global chapters, a close community of Black professionals that you can network with. So you can scan the QR code to connect with them. And you can also visit the BYP website for job opportunities, events, recruitment, and everything that would help you in your career journey. So yes, our founder is Kike Oniwinde Agoro. Like I mentioned earlier, motivated to change the Black narrative, and that's the reason why we have BYP, an amazing person. She has been Forbes 30 under 30, Maserati top 100 most innovative founder, Computer Weekly UK top woman in technology, and many other global recognitions for her contribution towards the Black community. So I mentioned earlier, so April, May, June, July, August. This is August. We've had events. So for September, what we have from BYP Space is the BYP Careers First and Leadership Conference. If you're based in the UK, this is one event that we do encourage you to attend. You can scan the QR code. You can visit our website to get more information about the event. So now the question on my mind, and everyone that had signed up to attend this webinar, here. So we've made it through 8 intense. Yeah, I can say so myself. We've made it through 8 intense months, and now you're wondering what is possible with the 4 months that we have left. So whether you're feeling energized, exhausted, or somewhere in between, this session is a chance for you to pause, reflect, and move forward with purpose. Now, so this is not just a regular or a cliche webinar where we tell you, okay, this is it, go for it. You can achieve your dreams, because of course you can achieve your dreams, but we also know that there's a thin line between reality and being delusional. So that's what our coaches and our HR expert is here to help us achieve. So this is a space for you to regroup with guardians from leaders who understand both the demands of ambition and the importance of well-being. So now what do we expect at the end of this session? So we expect candid advice from our amazing speakers. We expect to leave here with reflective prompts and practical tools to reset and refocus. And we also need to go back with real strategies to finish the year strong without burning out. So now this will lead us to learning more about our amazing speakers this evening. So first on the list is we have Diane Thompson. Diane Thompson is an executive coach, leadership consultant, and experienced head teacher with over 20 years of leadership and coaching experience across education and beyond. Now, Diane holds an ILM Level 7 qualification in executive coaching. She has led high impact coaching programs and draws on her leadership experience, including transforming a school from requires improvement to good, to bring real world insight into navigating change and pressure. Now, Diane's approach combines storytelling, practical tools, and a deep understanding of the barriers faced by those historically excluded from leadership spaces. Now, Diane talks, energizes, and equips attendees to take courageous steps in their careers, navigate transitions with clarity, and lead with confidence. She also champions representation, resilience, and self advocacy at every level of professional life. Good evening once again, Diane. We are super excited to have you as one of our speakers this evening. We look forward to learning and going back home. Yes, energized, energized. She has amazing offers for our speakers. So if you can see on your screen, we have this QR code projected. If you want to get clarity, you should book this call with Diane. She helps women break barriers, lead with impact, and achieve their full potential. So if you're looking for if you've been logging to have a one-on-one conversation with an intellectual career coach, then you should scan this QR code and get talking with Diane. She also has a second offer. Now, if you want to empower yourself, if you want to lead with confidence and overcome imposter syndrome, then she has the second offer for you. All you need to do is scan the QR code to also join. So in the chat box, we will be dropping links to Diane's website and social media handle, so you can connect to her. But like I mentioned earlier, we have this QR code to empower yourself and lead with confidence, and we have the second to book a clarity call with Diane. Our next speaker is Catherine Taylor. Catherine is a multi-award nominated HR manager with experience in retail, logistics, renewable energy, software, and IT consulting sectors. Now, Catherine has a passion for creating sustainable and inclusive cultures and enhancing employee relations. Now, Catherine is also an EMCC qualified coach and has a keen interest in international development, which has led her to becoming a 2024 CSW68 volunteer delegate for United Nations Women UK. Now, Catherine is also the co-founder of the Black HR Professional Network, which is a network designed to help Black HR professionals in the UK connect. Good evening, Catherine. We are super excited to have you join us this evening to also share from your wealth of knowledge as a multifaceted HR professional. Now, Catherine also has given us here her QR code. Like I mentioned, she's the co-founder of Black HR Professionals. If you're based in UK, you're an HR professional, you know one, to be good to take a picture, a snapshot of this QR code, register later, send it to one HR person that you know to also register to be a part of that HR community. So thank you, Diane and Catherine. We are super excited to have you join us this evening as we shed more light on the topic. 4 months left. What can we do? Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So now we would move to the discussion we have for this evening. Before we proceed, so I want to just I know I was working I was very busy, so let me be saying I was very busy, so I had a struggle with setting up Slido so we could respond to some questions anonymously. But I think this is a safe space, so we don't mind dropping our responses in the comment section. So before we proceed, I want us to just put in one word. How has 2025 been so far? Just one word. Amazing, tiring, stressful, overwhelming. Just one word. If you can drop it in the chat box. How has 2025 been? Hectic. That's scary. Let's see the responses coming. How has the year been? 8 months. How has it been? Productive, hectic, scary, overwhelming. So would like to hear from you. Unpredictable. Can we get a few more before we move? So we've gotten scary, we've gotten unpredictable, hectic, growth, but not without challenge. Okay, tedious, roller coaster. Can we get something positive? Work great. Okay, nice. So I think we've gotten one positive response. So adventurous, growth, nice. Interesting. Okay, someone has gone into the politics phase. Okay, politics has me in an tizzy. Okay, I think everyone. But in your personal life, how has it been? Interesting. Good to hear. So we've got blessed. Great, great. So we're saying that this year has been grateful. This year has had a lot in store for every one of us, and we do understand, and we hope that at the end of this webinar we get clarity to ensure that whatever we've had as the responses so far in the past 8 months, what we get on this webinar gives us clarity. So maybe when we have another webinar in December, which I doubt, because we know we're in the festive season. But at least when we check on ourselves in December, we get to see a lot of amazing, blessed responses on how the year has been so far. My first question based on the responses we've gotten so far is 8 months, 4 months left. What can we do? Um, so from the responses we've gotten, we see that most people might be in a place where they are stuck. So they are stuck, they feel that they are behind in their goals. What would be your first honest advice to them, Diane? People feeling stuck behind in their goals, what would be your first honest piece of advice to them?
Well, my first honest piece of advice, it would really be to tell them that you are where you are now. So rather than looking backwards and worrying about things that you haven't necessarily achieved, focus on the fact that this is where you are now and think about the successes that you've had so far, even if they're small successes, but also think about what is it that I can do now to move forward and to ensure that I'm going in the direction that I want to in the next 4 months. So that would be my advice. You are where you are now. Celebrate your successes and your wins and focus on the choices that you're going to make now in order to move forward in the direction that you want to over the next 4 months.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So just to in line with the response you provided. So yes, you've told them to focus on where they are now, and they should look forward to what is in store in the next 4 months. So the reason why most people have found it difficult to move from this is what has happened to this is what should happen, or this is what I hope would happen in the next 4 months, is because they have this mindset block.
Mm.
So they want to move forward, but they're unable to move forward because they have this mindset block. Maybe because they are under pressure, peer pressure, pressure from home or from the environment. So what do you think they can do to change that mindset block? Because they want to move forward, but they're
Mhm.
unable to move forward because of the mindset block. So how would you encourage them to change that mindset so they can move forward?
Okay. I mean, well, personally, I would encourage them to focus on one thing at a time. So, for example, if they know in their action plan or their goals that they'd set for themselves for the year, maybe if they've got 10 things on there, focus on one. So focus on one action that is going to be able to move them forward and have the greatest impact on where they're at now, focus on the one action that's going to help them to get momentum to be able to move forward. Because ultimately, I think as human beings, sometimes we could be kinder to ourselves. So, and it's a mindset block, but we are in control of our mindsets. And ultimately, we have to think about whether we are energizing ourselves and supporting our mindset in order to be able to move forward, or whether we're holding ourselves back. So I would personally say focus on one thing, and ensure that that one action is going to catapult you. It's going to help you to be able to gain that momentum in order to be able to move forward. So that would be my advice.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. In the course of your response, um we got an added question. So someone is saying, oh, it's not easy to move forward when you always get regrets whenever you try something different. So what do you have
Mm.
to tell such person, such people?
Mm. It's not easy to move forward, but ultimately, if we are focusing on what didn't go well, if we are focusing on the past, if we are stuck in that mindset, then we're not going to be able to move forward. So I think it's important to focus on what we can control and what we can influence. And if any of you have read the book by Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks a lot about the circles of control and the circles of influence. So one thing that I like to do with people who I work with is get them to think about, okay, what are all of the things that are within my control? Because if something is in your control, then you should be able to take action on it. Then think about what it is you can influence. So anything in your life, in your career, you can influence. Think about ways that you can influence and take action to do it. And things that are outside of your control, let go of them, because actually you're spending a lot of energy and a lot of time focusing on things that you can't control and change. But one thing that is within our control and is within our influence is our mindset. So, yes, I'm not saying that it's easy to do, but ultimately we have to be able to move forward in terms of a mindset of accepting where we're at and moving forward. Because if we sit and we're looking backwards, we're not going to get where we want to go.
Can I just piggyback off of that as well? I 100% agree. I think the mind is such a powerful thing, and I know from what I'm hearing, people are feeling that pressure to, I guess, finish strong, and they're looking at the mountain ahead of them, and they're feeling that anxiety and getting overwhelmed. And I'd also echo that, focus on a few things, just that one thing or two things, that are your most critical priorities, something that could potentially make that impact instead of overwhelming yourself and tackling all these different things at once. And intentionally celebrate when you do something good. I've had a very similar issue in the past. I've had to kind of carve out time where I reflect on my key wins and I write it down, and it makes it more real. And it kind of helps me frame it in a more positive way. So definitely recommend that if you are feeling stuck in that negative space.
Okay. Thank you very much, Diane, and thank you for Kitchen for the add-on. Yes, you are in the HR space, and of course, I'm sure you have lot of interactions with people, and most times, if we're looking at the numbers, the reason why people would say they are stuck or they are overwhelmed or under pressure is usually tied to career goals. So of course, people would face challenges at home or in their health, but most times because of the career goals, especially, I don't know if there's a word that's LinkedIn pressure. So you go on LinkedIn and you see XYZ posts, this is where I am, this is where I was, and people put themselves under undue pressure. So I'm sure you come in contact with those kind of comments or complaints from people. So now from an HR perspective, um, what do you think people can, or what's the mistake that you've seen people make um, because of LinkedIn pressure? That's the best word I can use to describe it. What do you think is the mistake they've made? We've told them, okay, don't look behind, look forward. But of course, most of those pressure comes from the workplace, comes from career goals. Oh, 5 years out of school, what have I achieved? So now, what is that mistake that you've seen people make because of that LinkedIn pressure, and what is the advice you give to them from the HR perspective?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question because, comparison can be the thief of joy sometimes, and you're constantly looking at everyone else. But what I would advise people is you need to look at yourself and see potentially, could you learn anything from what you're seeing? How can that inspire you? It's about looking at that differently and, taking that time to look introspectively and see, okay, you know, recognizing that, okay, when I look at those people's profiles, I do feel, a lack. I feel, so how can I improve myself? What tangible steps can I do to progress? What skill can I learn? So then you're shifting it and you're focusing on yourself instead of comparing yourself to others. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, yes, it does. In line with what you said, so you look at LinkedIn or social media, and you see people's celebration. So rather than putting yourself on pressure, under pressure, improve yourself so you can achieve the goals that you plan to achieve. But so now the next question is tilted towards the workplace. So most times we've seen employees that have improved themselves, but they're not getting that recognition that they should get from the workplace. So now, how do you encourage employees or professionals to hold space for themselves in the workplace? So now they know they've done the personal improvement, the career improvement, but in the workplace, they're
Mm.
not getting the deserved accolades or recognition that they should get. What would you advise them to do?
I'd advise employees, because I see this happen time and time again, they're often waiting for their manager to give them that feedback, or they're waiting for their
Yeah.
peers to give them that feedback. And I just say, take control, be proactive and go out there and, do a 360 feedback, send out an email to all your different stakeholders and ask them, what am I doing well? What can I improve on? And any other feedback, and see what you get back from that. And then use that feedback and that can inform your goals for how to move forward. So yeah, essentially I just say take control. If you find that you're not getting that feedback, go out and look for it. If you find that your manager hasn't put in time to have a quarterly or regular catch up with you, check in with your manager. Sometimes you've got to manage up and put in time with them and just take control, really. So I really try and advocate that people feel empowered to do that.
Thank you. I guess I would say your response is when people are in an organization or that has supports that kind of culture, because I think most times when we say this, we look at it from the angle of people work in an organization that encourages employee communication with their employers, with their managers, supervisors. But what do people do when they're in a workplace without such culture? So it is difficult to, like you said, reach out to supervisors or managers. Okay, what do you want me to do to be better? Okay, I'm currently an analyst. I would want to be a supervisor. What do I need to do to get to that position? So in a workplace where such culture is not encouraged, employees are not supported, what would you advise people to do?
Yeah, I'd say, it's a shame if someone is in that culture. I've experienced that before. And I'd suggest if you're not getting any nurturing from with it inside and you're not getting that feedback, use your network. Go, reach out to different communities like BYP, for example, connect with other people, and you can get feedback that way, potentially get a coach, and look at external avenues as well. And brush up your CV and try and look for somewhere else to work, because you deserve to work in a place where you do have that psychological safety.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything to add there from your end?
No, I mean, I absolutely agree with that, because I've worked in a variety of environments, and some places are not psychologically safe. Some places do not encourage leadership development, and there isn't that recognition. But ultimately, as Catherine says, we all have choices, and we have to know our value, we have to know our worth. And often if you're not being recognized, again, you need to go back to your purpose and your why, and make sure that actually everything that you are doing, it's for the greater good, it's for a bigger cause. So think about it in terms of yourself, your own development, and where you want to get to. But ultimately, it is so important to be in an environment where you feel valued, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel supported. And if you're not, we all have choices.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Diane. How as an executive coach, as a coach, looking at what you offer, you interact with people at all level, from early to mid to senior level professionals. What is that real practical step that let me rephrase it. So what is that advice, or what's that advice you would give to someone who like beside the webinar saying the aim is for us to finish strong? I'm sure people would come to you after the webinar to say, okay, what do I do to finish strong? So what is that advice you'd give to people who at this moment, because they want to finish strong, they are struggling to balance ambition and their well-being? So people are trying to compress all what they could not achieve in the past 8 months. They want to achieve it in 4 months.
Okay.
So they are struggling to balance ambition and well-being. I would love to hear from you, and also Catherine, also, what is the advice you give to such people?
I mean, I think that if you are struggling to balance ambition and well-being, I think you need to view them differently, because ultimately ambition and well-being go hand in hand. Because realistically, if you want to be able to finish strong, and if you want to achieve your ambitions, well-being has to be at the core of what you do. In order to have sustainable success, and happiness, you have to have well-being running through. So I would say, if you're struggling, And maybe if the ambition feels too much or you feel pressurized by that, you need to take a step back, reflect on your core values, reflect on your moral purpose, reflect on what it is you want to achieve and why, reflect on the difference that you want to make, in your organization, within your family, within your community. Think about your calling, your moral purpose, and ensure that everything is aligned. But ultimately, your well-being is the foundation, and that has to come before everything. So I would say, take a step back, reflect, reconnect with your values, really understand your why, your purpose, and look at whether your ambitions are in line with that. Make sure that they're realistic. And then you build on them, because actually, burning yourself out in order to achieve one ambition isn't going to be worth it in the long run. So it's making sure that they go hand in hand and you understand how they work together to support each other.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And it's so true. I think ambition and well-being, I would say they're like two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. And I'd encourage people who are feeling like they are burning out, they are on their emails at 9:30 p.m. trying to get stuff done. You need to set boundaries, have boundaries. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's important to have that sort of in your mind. Okay, what can wait till tomorrow? And also kind of think around what energizes you, inject some time into your week where you do something that you actually enjoy. Is it a podcast? Is it listening to some music? Is it going out for a walk? Taking a walking lunch might help you change your environment. And yeah, like I say, communicate as well. If you are feeling like you are burning out, specifically in the workplace, if you can open up to your manager, if you feel comfortable doing that, and just communicate those boundaries. What I've done, for example, on my email signature, because I work flexibly, I put, please don't feel the pressure to respond if you're getting this out of hours, and just set those boundaries and put that in place and support others to do the same.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Catherine and Diane. And before we take the next question, I just want to hear from our attendees. So if you so we did start with the question of how has the past 8 months been. So this question would be, if I know we always use the word finishing strong. So in your view, one word or a sentence, what is that word you used to describe by December 31st that you did finish this year strong? So what's that thing that would happen that you would say, oh, I finished 2025 strong? Because we say it most times, and we don't tie it to something. So finishing strong, does it mean that finishing strong with a promotion, with a better job, with X amount? So most times we use that word finishing strong and we don't tie it to anything. But when we ask ourselves to describe how has the past 8 months been, we got a lot of comments: scary, productive, blessed. So now this question is, what is that word you want? So we're not in September, October, November, December yet. What is that word you want to use to describe the next 4 months? So we can drop our comments. That would be nice. What is that word? We've talked about how the past 8 months have happened, and as Diane and Kitchen has said, they are in the past. Let's focus on what is forward. So now the next 4 months in the year, what is that word you want to? So now this is you have the choice in your hand. So this is not what has happened, this is what you hope to happen. So what's that word that you want to be your word at the end of December? So yes, positive, determined, motivated. Let's get a few more responses. So what is that word? Intentional. Nice. Can we get more responses on how you hope the next, ready for new opportunities? Great. So I'm happy that Victoria. So I'm happy that even though the past 8 months accomplished and at peace, happy to see a lot of positive response. So yes, the past 8 months may have not gone the way we planned it, but we have the next 4 months to look to, and the next 4 months, I would say, are within our control by the grace of God. So yes, it's good to speak those positive words into it. Ready for new opportunities, victorious, accomplished, at peace, happy, intentional, contentment, and joy. Great. So that this will lead me to the next question for Catherine and Diane also. Now, we've seen people with words on how they plan to end the year. So now, what is that real practical step that we all can take after this webinar to ensure that all what we've put in the responses now, blessed, at peace, accomplished, ready for new opportunities, all the positive plans that we hope to end the year with, what is that practical step that you'd advise us to take after this webinar, so that when we have this conversation in the next 4 months, all what we've dropped as our responses here become our reality? So what is that practical step you take, you'd advise us to take immediately after this webinar, so that all what we have hoped for and we've written in the comments, in the comment box, would be our reality by the end of the year? So I'll leave this open to Diana and Catherine.
Okay. I would say after this call today, dedicate 15 minutes to do a self-reflection exercise. I like to call it stop, start, and continue. So you get a piece of paper and you write what you're going to stop doing. So what is the one thing that you're doing that is just draining your energy and it's not really giving you any value? Is that procrastination? Is that, you're constantly beating yourself up about things if you make a mistake? Or, maybe you're sleeping late and you're feeling tired. What one thing do you want to stop? And then you have to start. So it's like, what is the one new thing that you want to start doing that can move you closer to your goals? It could be eating healthier, because then I'm not going to have so many digestive issues, and that's going to give me more energy during the workday. It could be little things. It could be exercising more. It could be spending more time with your child. It could be anything. So write down one thing you're going to start. And then the next bit is continue. So what are you doing now that's working for you? Double down on it, start doing it even more. So write that down. And that's, it's a simple exercise, and that can help kind of give you a little bit more clarity, and help you feel that you have a little bit more control. So recommend that people do that after today.
Yeah, I love that, Catherine. And it's it's interesting because you said, yeah, people should take 15 minutes. So add another 15 minutes onto that. And I would say, answer the following question. So the first question I think that you need to reflect on is what you have learned. So think about the last 8 months and think about all of the learning that has come from that, and really reflect on that, because ultimately, even if some things didn't go according to plan, you would have learned a lot. You would have learned a lot on the journey. So really reflect on what you've learned. I would also ask you to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, how do you stand in your own way? How do you limit yourself? And what can you do to stop? Because I do think as human beings, there are some things that we do to stand in our own way. As human beings, sometimes we make excuses, sometimes we tell ourselves stories in order to make ourselves feel a little bit better about what we didn't do when we know we should have done it. So I think it's always important to be honest with ourselves and think, okay, you know what have I done to stand in my own way? Yes, things have been hard. Yes, maybe there wasn't this opportunity, but actually, what could I have done to stand out of my own way? And then ensure that you do something different to stop that from happening. Because I think, we as human beings, we like to be in that state of homeostasis. We like to feel safe. And it feels uncomfortable stepping outside of our comfort zone, but we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we have to do things that challenge ourselves, that push ourselves, so that we are standing out of our own way. So those are the things that I would say, reflect on those, have a heart-to-heart with yourself and hold yourself to account for the ways that you have stood in your own way. Oh, bless it, you're still on mute.
Okay, apologies. Thank you both for the practical advice. So I guess after this webinar, we all have 30 minutes with tasks assigned from Catherine and Diane. So now we did say we have 8 months gone, 4 months left, and like you have both advised, take our time. Let us look back at what worked, what did not work. So whatever worked, let us do more of it. Whatever did not work, of course, let's drop it. So now I would like to hear personal experiences. Were there times in your lives where you had set goals and looking at the timeline you had tied to those goals, you saw that they were impossible to achieve? So you had to either shift those goals, or you had to, would I say, compress them or reduce them because of the timing. So, for example, I'm sure people started the year with a lot of goals, and 8 months they're unable to achieve those goals, and they plan to achieve those goals the 4 months that we have left. Now they take 30 minutes of the time, as you have both advised us, and they look at those goals, and they see that those goals that they had set from January, with the 4 months left, they would be unable to achieve those goals. From personal experiences or in your lives, were there any moments where you had to say, okay, this is the truth. I have set XYZ goal. There is no way I'm going to be able to achieve them in the next 2 months or 5 months that I have set aside to achieve those goals. So I have to cut down on these goals. I have to shift them forward or shift the timing. So were there any practical experiences you have to share so we can tie to the responses on people who of course have those goals to achieve, but the timing would make it difficult to achieve those goals. So any personal experiences to share?
Yeah. Oh.
Did you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, either is good. I mean, one of the things that I would say, so if I've noticed that I've set a goal, or even if it's something on my to-do list, and I keep putting it down on my to-do list over and over again, clearly it's not that important to me. It's either not important to me, not that important. It's either that it's not tied to my values or to my long-term goals, or it's that it wasn't a realistic goal in the first place. So again, this is about honesty, and it's about holding ourselves to account. If you've got something and you keep writing it down over and over again, and you're still not making any headway with it, you need to really look at it and dissect it and say to yourself, okay, is this realistic? Is it something that I can achieve? Is it something that I want to achieve? Is it tied to my values, to my moral purpose? Is it tied to my long-term aspirations? And if it isn't, let it go. If you still feel that it is important, then you need to tweak it. You need to adjust it to make sure that it's more manageable, and maybe write down a few small process goals, process actions to help you to be able to achieve it. So break it down a little bit further. If it's something that it is important to you, break it down further, step by step, so that you've got a clear roadmap, and use all of the resources that you can around you to help you to achieve it. So if it's something that you want, gather your team around you, gather your community around you, get somebody to hold you to account for that goal, leverage your network in terms of people who will have resources to be able to help you achieve it. So it's to have a whole team to support you in achieving that goal. And if you know it's not something that actually you truly value, let it go.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Diane, apologies. Catherine, anything else to add?
Yeah, I would definitely echo that sentiment. And Diane, as you were talking, I was just scribbling down some notes. That was quite insightful. But I'd also say as well, just reflect and think, what was the blocker for you, for the person, not completing that goal? One example would be, I was juggling a lot at work, and I was constantly feeling just burnt out, fatigued, and sleeping late. And I had to just step back and think, okay, what's blocking me from actually feeling energized every day? Why am I not able to do everything I want to do and have the clear headspace? And then I sat down and actually thought, okay, the blocker is I'm not sleeping well. So I tried to sleep earlier, simple tweak like that. So just reflecting and figuring out what is blocking you as well, and seeing if you can tweak things that way.
Thank you. Thank you. Very insightful. Identify the blockers as Katrin has referenced, and yes, feel free to retweak the goal. So we have 4 months left. You had the goal set for 12 months. If they look impossible to achieve in the next 4 months, like Katrin referenced, if you still have them on your to-do list day in, day out, maybe they're not as important as you think they are, or they do not match to your value. So now my next question would be, what role does fate play in individuals achieving their goals? So I know I've used the word impossible, and I'm sure maybe some people would say, oh, there's nothing that's impossible. Do you get? All things are possible with God. So what role does fate play when it comes to setting career goals, when it comes to setting personal goals, or any kind of goals in any area? What role does fate play, and how do people draw that thin line between setting realistic goal and the role fate plays in achieving those goals?
Is that faith in a higher power or having faith in oneself, or could be both, sort of thing?
I would say both, but I'll look more at maybe faith in a higher power, because I think that's where majority of people will draw strength from. So they draw strength from the higher power, then that trickles down to faith in themselves. So I'll say let's look at both faith in a higher power and faith in oneself.
Yeah, because I mean, like where I live, where I work, there are quite a few people who don't have that faith in a higher power, and I think there are actually studies that show that people who have a religion or religious background have a higher level of well-being. I think sometimes it's important to have that faith in whatever that may be, because that can make you more positive. You know, having with that self-belief or believing in a higher power, having that positive sort of mindset can help you achieve your goals a lot easier. So that's what I would essentially say.
No, I agree with that, Catherine. I definitely think that if we have, so regardless of, you know, our religion, our spirituality, if we have something that we believe in that is outside of ourselves, we can use it to, you know, when times are tough, to dig deep, to draw upon, to help us to be more resilient in order to be able to move forward. And again, if we're thinking about faith, we would link it to our values. You know, we would link it to spirituality and community and making a difference and giving back. And if we're grounded, you know, in some of those core values, then it does help us to move forward. And if we have a strong sense of faith, then we know that everything is going to work out in the end. And we know that no matter how tough it is in the minute, it's temporary, because things 9 times out of 10 will get better, and things will go, you know, as long as we're intentional, you know, and as long as we continue to persevere and to persist and to be resilient and to work hard, they will go in the way that we want them to go. They may not go in a straight line, they may not be linear, you know, they may go, you know, in a different path, but we have to keep the faith that actually we're capable, we're able to achieve, and we have to, you know, continue to believe that actually, even though we can't see the top of the staircase yet, we mustn't be fearful. We must put one foot in front of the other and keep walking, keep persevering, keep trying until we achieve what it is that we want to achieve, and be guided by that faith that everything will work out in the end and it will be okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Katrin and Diane. Yes, faith in oneself and faith in a higher power is also an addition when it comes to achieving our goals, or when it comes to realizing our set goals. So now this question is open-ended. So I would ask, I have my own response, but I want our participants to also drop in their response, and maybe we'll just pick 2 words from there. So now the question is, what is one challenge that you faced in staying on track this year? So if we can drop in our challenges, and would have Catherine and Diane just pick one. So for me, I would say the challenge I faced this year has been procrastination. So maybe we'll get another challenge anyone else has faced this year, and would have you and Catherine believing in yourself. Okay, so we have another one. So we might just pick 2. So what's that challenge that you've faced this year in staying on track? Because while we say, oh, let's not look back at the 8 months, there are some things that happen in the last 8 months that if we had not allowed them happen, many things would have gone as we had planned them. And I say so from my own personal angle, procrastination. If I had not procrastinated on some actions, so most of the goals I had set, I would have not had to push them to September, October, November, December. So for me to be procrastination, so okay, we have responses: procrastination, believing in oneself, avoiding things I'm not confident with, self-doubt, being spread too thin, staying consistent. So I'll leave it open for you both to decide the one you would want to respond to. So this, okay, not seeking validation from others. Should that be a challenge? I think maybe she meant seeking validation from others, not seeking.
Not seeking validation from others. So being secure in terms of what she's achieving herself, rather than looking for external validation, know that actually she's done a good job. Is that what you mean, Yvonne?
Would that be a challenge to believe in oneself? Say yes. Could that be a challenge? Not seeking validation from others. Could that be a challenge? Oh, okay.
Because for some people, if it is a challenge, if your self-esteem and your self-worth are always tied to what other people think, and you always need that validation from others, then actually what happens when you don't get it? So it's about having that internal validation and recognizing, you know what, I don't need somebody to tell me that I've done a great job, because I know I've done a great job, regardless of who's going to verbalize that.
Okay. That's so true. And that's where I guess that brag journal comes in, you know, reflecting on those good things that you're doing, and remembering that.
Okay. So I guess you would have touched on Ebony's challenge, which is not seeking validation from others. So we have one around not following my intuition. What would you advise?
To trusting your gut, essentially, and trusting, you know, your previous lived experiences, and knowing that you do know your stuff. So I guess it's just a lesson learned, I suppose, you know, going forward, what is your internal gut telling you? But it's the first thing is the fact that you recognized it. That's a good step.
Okay. Staying consistent was a challenge. What would you advise?
So with staying consistent, I would definitely say set up yourself with some enabling habits. So for example, if you know that you want to be consistent with going to the gym, for example, don't set yourself too big a goal in the first place, or something that's unrealistic. If you've never exercised before, don't tell yourself that you're going to exercise every day, you know, 7 days a week. Start off small and then build upon it. You know, so say to yourself, okay, I'm going to exercise twice a week. Leave all of your gym stuff right in front of your bed. So as soon as you get up out of the bed, you trip over it, because then it will make you go, you know. So surround yourself with positive triggers, with enabling habits that are going to help you to stay consistent, and get an accountability partner. So somebody who will tell you as it is if you have not followed through on the action that you said you would.
Thank you. So being spread too thin was also a challenge.
setting boundaries, you know, and also trying to reflect and see, what can I delegate anything? You know, is there anything that I need to, you know, reprioritize? Is what I'm doing actually a necessity right now? And also, if you're spread too thin, I would say take some time off. If it's your spread thin at work, take some annual leave, take some time off just to recover and just reflect and re-strategize as well. So that's what I would advise.
Thank you. Self-doubt.
So self-doubt. So I would definitely say if you're doubting yourself, it's important to ask yourself, what evidence do I have to validate this self-doubt? And then I'd also ask the question, what evidence do I have to say that this self-doubt is not warranted? And then I would compare the two lists, because actually 9 times out of 10, we've got evidence to suggest that there is no reason to doubt ourselves, because actually we are doing a fantastic job. There are lots of things that we are doing well, and we need to focus on that instead of focusing on the fact that we feel scared because we're outside of our comfort zone and we're doing something that makes us feel uncomfortable.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we have avoiding things I'm not confident in or with. That was a challenge for someone.
It's really hard, isn't it? Sometimes as human beings, we don't want to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, but have a think and see, how can you actually take a step closer to actually doing that thing? If it's public speaking, for example, how can you get more confident in that? Is it a case of signing up to your local Toastmasters or a public speaking LinkedIn learning course, looking at TED Talks, looking at a way that makes public speaking natural to you? Because what another person might do when they're public speaking might not work when you do it. So how can you do it in a way that is natural to you? So yeah, take that first step. That's what I say, no matter how small.
Okay. So I guess self-doubt, believing in oneself has been, we've also attended to that under the responses for self-doubt. Similar responses, yes. Then lastly, procrastination.
So for procrastination, again, I would say that we need to look at the task that we are procrastinating on, and we need to reflect on, actually, is it in line with my values? Is it in line with my greater aspirations? Is it something that I value? Is it something that I need to let go of? We need to think about it, first of all, in that sense. Also with procrastination, I mean, little things that you can do. Sometimes when you're procrastinating about something, and for myself also, I say to myself, okay, right, I'm going to do it after the count of 3. And whatever it is, I say 1, 2, 3, and I just get on and do it. That's one thing. That's just a tiny thing. I think also, know when you're procrastinating, sometimes it's good to start off with that task that you don't want to do. You know, so they always say, eat your biggest frog, you know, in the morning. So the thing that you're procrastinating on, just do it, and do it bit by bit by bit. Brian Tracy has a really good book, Eat That Frog, and that's a good book that helps you with tools and techniques to overcome procrastination. But if we know that we're procrastinating, recognize that we're procrastinating rather than lying to ourselves. Be honest, I'm procrastinating on this. Why am I procrastinating on this? Can I break this task down to make it easier? And even if you commit to doing the thing for 5 minutes, for example, then by the time you've got into it, then sometimes you just continue it on anyway. So just get started with it. And if it's not something that you value, let it go.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Diane. So what was the make? You want to maybe re-edit your question? What was the name of the resource you just mentioned on procrastination?
So Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. So it's a lovely, easy read, a little book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. And he talks a lot about eating your biggest, ugliest frog and you cut it up and you eat it in small little bits, because especially when you know you've procrastinated on it, then you feel so much better when you know that you've done that task and it's out of the way. Then a weight is lifted off you, then you can crack on with the other tasks. Yeah, Brian Tracy, eat that frog.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Diane. Anything to add, Kitchen?
Yeah, I'll just say, if you find that you're procrastinating and you can't focus, find ways that might be able to help. There are lots of apps as well. What I find helps is I put on some music in the background. If I'm dealing with a task that's incredibly boring, I'm dealing with a lot of data, I like to have some music playing on in the background, and that helps me kind of get in focus. If I didn't have it playing, then I would get distracted. So that's one little thing. Find little strategies that work for you.
Thank you. Thank you both for the insightful learnings we've taken and we're taking back home with us this evening on what we can do within the 4 months that we have left in this year. So from my end, I would say from the conversation we've had this evening, it shows that there is hope. 8 months gone, 4 months, a whole lot can happen. We just have to take at the past networking, um, just ensuring that we are positioned in a place where the goals that we have set to achieve are realistic and not just goals on cards or on our Canva board. Are goals that, like Diane had mentioned, if you have them on repeat on your to-do list every day, maybe they're not as important as we think. So I think from my end, my learning will be the next 4 months in this year. What are my actual to-do lists? So rather than having a long 20 to-do list, why don't I focus on 3 that are very important, that align with my values? So by the end of the year, I can say, oh, I have achieved X, Y, Z, rather than having a long list of 20 things to do and ending up the year feeling tired, feeling disappointed because I feel I underperformed. For those that joined in late, at the start of the webinar, we had shared the QR codes for our speakers. So Diane Thompson is an executive coach and she has 2 offers for our attendees. So if you are looking to get a free clarity call from an amazing coach, we've heard from her this evening. She's an amazing and she's an amazing coach with years of experience. If you want to have that one-on-one time with her, scan the QR code to book a free clarity call. She also has another session to help us overcome imposter syndrome. I know we got a lot of comments on people that had said the reason why they couldn't achieve most of their goals in the past 8 months was because of self-doubt or not believing in themselves. This is one session I believe you should attend: how to empower yourself and how to live with confidence. We also have the QR code. We have Diane's link in the chat box, and we also have Kitchen's link in the chat box. Kitchen is the co-founder of Black HR Professional. So if you're in that space, or if you know someone in that space, it will be good to connect with Catherine on her social media platform and also to scan the QR code to also be a part of that community. So we'll take one final word from Catherine and Diane to call it an evening. So the focus of this webinar was 4 months left. One more can happen. And we said a live check-in on your goals, mindset, and how to move forward with insight from HR and career experts. From all what we've discussed this evening, we'd like to take one final word from Catherine and Diane, and we'll call it a beautiful evening.
I just definitely say be kind to yourself as we're getting towards the end of the year. As we were discussing earlier, there is that pressure to finish strong. So it's a case of, really reflecting, holding yourself accountable, but also being kind to yourself, and going into the new year with a positive mindset.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
No, I agree with that, Catherine. I think I would say that remember that you are in control of your life, you are in control of your destiny, and it's not about achieving things to tick off somebody else's goals, or worrying about what other people expect of you. So think about what it is you want for you. Think about your purpose, think about your values, think about your aspirations, and you know, believe in yourself. You know, choose courage over comfort, put one foot in front of the other, and just get moving. Just get moving, because you've got 4 months. That's plenty of a time to achieve even one really important goal. And sometimes achieving one important goal and doing it well is better than trying to achieve 10 and doing them badly, or doing a mediocre job of them. So believe in yourself, and get cracking, get moving, one step at a time.
Thank you very much, Diane, and thank you very much, Catherine. We had a very wonderful evening. Thank you to everyone that joined this webinar. Thank you for the interaction. Thank you for all the learners. It was great to see contributions from you all in the comment section, and I'm hoping that all that we had written, that we hope to see in the next 4 months, peace, bless, positivity. I'm hoping that by the end of this year, we all smile at ourselves and say, yes, you did end the year on a positive note. We did end the year strong. So thank you everyone for joining. We look forward to having you join BYP at other events that we do organize monthly. If you're in London, we encourage you to attend the Careers First and Leadership Conference. But thank you all for joining, and do enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.